Okay, call this Village of Greenhills Council meeting to order for October 24th. Clerk, call the roll.
Ms. Osmanoglou? Here. Ms. Hudson? Here. Mr. Lee?
Here.
Ms. Herman? Here. Mr. Halter?
Here.
Ms. Walker?
Here.
Mayor Moore?
Here. Okay, we have a prayer by Maria Walter.
I received this prayer overnight. A former student of mine graduated in 80. She is in Israel in the middle of all the problems there, and she sent me this prayer, and I want to share it with you. Dear Lord, this has been such a sad and unsettling weeks. Our hearts are heavy as we hear what is going on in the world. We ask for your divine intervention and ask you to make miracles happen. You can do what we cannot. May people find you to be the way maker and deliverer that we know you to be. Nothing is impossible for you. We put our hope, faith, and trust in you and ask for your angel armies to come to the aid of those in need tonight, tomorrow, and yesterday. We thank you in advance for all you will do. Let it be peace on earth, and let it begin with all of us. In Jesus' name, we ask these things. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have the minutes of the previous council meeting of September 26, 23. If there are no corrections, minutes will stand approved.
No corrections.
Okay. We have a public presentation by our librarian, Jennifer Weicker.
Evening, how are you all? We've got lots of fun things, as always, happening over at the Greenhills Library, so I appreciate a chance to let you all know what's going on. We will be celebrating Veterans Day with an open house on Saturday, November 11th from 10 a.m. until noon. And all are welcome to come contribute to a craft to create a banner to celebrate our veterans. And there will be light refreshments as well. So spread the word. We also are offering free streaming services, 2 of them. That's what you get with your library card. The first one is Canopy, which allows you to stream more than 3,000 free movies, documentaries, foreign and independent films, classic cinema, shorts, educational videos, and children's programming. The special collections also include Criterion collection films and the great courses. So if you've ever seen like the ones that you can also get on like CD or other things, you can get a lot of that through Canopy as well. And in fact, we are having our Classic Movie Club on November 18th, and High Noon is the one on there, and it's available on Canopy if anybody would like to stream it and then come and talk about it. Or we have it on DVD. We also have Hoopla, where films and TV shows are available to stream online or download into the Hoopla app with no waiting. So that's sometimes a little bit easier than some of our other ones. We also are going to be having the Books by the Banks, which is Cincinnati's regional book festival, and it is returning to the Duke Energy Center on Saturday, November 18th from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. And there's free admission for the event, many author panels and discussions, a chance to meet and talk with authors in the author pavilion, get some signed books, kids corner with many fun activities, and all kinds of other things. So just a few of the activities that we've got going on. And then, of course, for all ages, we have programs. For adults, we're going to do Crystals 101, which is going to be the uses of metaphysical, and how crystals can affect some of that, and kind of do a deep dive into some chakra work and other things. A presenter, Diamond from Diamond's Crystal Bar and Over the Rhine, will be coming to lead that for us. We also, kids will be able to do Fall Bingo on Friday, November 3rd at 2 p.m. and create Sharpie art on Tuesday, November 4th at 4:30 p.m. And teens can create an origami star lantern to celebrate National Origami Day on Wednesday, November 8th at 4 p.m. We have lots of other programs, and we have this calendar at the branch. You're welcome to stop by and get it, or they're all available online at chpl.org. And the last is that we have the print version of the League of Women Voters, and we have a fair amount of them. So anybody who would like to come and get one, please do so.
The great courses were not available through the library for the longest time, so that's new. Can you get that through Libby, or how's that?
I've seen ones that come through that were like CDs that
Okay.
would come through, so it might be a slightly different
Format?
then, and if they've expanded into documentary and being able to do like an online kind of thing, it may be a little more robust than what I've seen come past, but they're very large CD sets that would come through with, 30, 40 discs.
And Canopy is spelled with a K. if you're looking-
Kanopy.
If you're looking for it on your app.
And your library card should get you free access. If it doesn't, let me know. Canopy is also shifting how they track things. They used to give you a certain number of tickets, and now they're going to give you a certain number of credits instead. That will make it a lot easier depends on how long the thing is. If you want an entire season of a TV show, it'll take more credits than, a children's episode that's, less than a half an hour kind of thing. And you get 45 of those a month, starting in November 1st. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we don't have a public hearing tonight. Reports of municipal officials, and municipal manager Yvonne Kovac.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have quite a few things I wanted to talk about. And first, though, a simple one, I took the Sunshine Law Training course yesterday online, representing all of council, so you all passed. But I do have a new handout that they have and some notes that I took that I'll give to each of you for that, okay? And I know some of you have taken it on your own, but I just wanted to be sure we were covered, so. That has been done. Our service garage, the water damage, the issue still continues. We actually haven't finished the mitigation and remediation yet, but we are in what we hope will be the last phase of that. We also just received the report of what we can now replace, reconstruction, so that's good. We'll start getting some contractors in there to get some bids, and I had hoped the process would go a little bit quicker, but that's all right. It's a big problem, so if any of you are ever interested in getting in there and seeing just what happened to it, it's pretty amazing, let me know. The community garden, on a positive note. Notice I'm trying to mix good. The community garden. It was a really successful first year for the garden. All 20 beds are now in place, and the fence is being put up. We also have a shed that's being moved from Palma Park over to the community garden, and that should be a nice touch there as well. And we are already, for anybody listening, if you're interested in a garden bed, we're taking sign-ups right now for next season already, so.
What was the price of it?
$25, and we're gonna be putting that towards, once the shed's there, we hope to get a bulletin board that closes to, post how-tos and little tidbits about gardening and things like that, so. And it's extremely attractive, I think, for community gardens,
How
so.
many beds do you have?
20 total.
And every
Yeah.
time, it's 20, every year before you start?
Yes, when we started this year, it was only 12.
Okay,
So
so that's the max.
added, and now there's 20, yes, that's, if it's really successful as years go forward, we can always add to it,
Oh, there is place to add?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Was anything done with the hose down there?
Well, we have directions there now.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it was
apparently
where
a lot
we just
of
didn't know
them-
how to do it.
Right, I
Okay.
think that's it, and, yes.
And do you
So-
think we'd ever consider putting a compost down there too?
Yes, I think we would, that was one of the things we talked about early on,
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
be a fun thing, so.
We've got great leaves and compost.
We sure do.
Yeah.
We sure do. Okay, the next one's kind of a big one, but it's sort of positive. Our natural gas aggregation, that one is up in this March, so our consultant has taken bids for a new round. And, we were incredibly lucky with our last rate at, 3.47. We just beat everybody out, and anybody who took that, because we had a fixed rate for the last 4 years, and I saw a graph today that was just amazing, because Duke rates went way up, and we were just right down here. So we've really benefited for quite a while from a great rate, but times are different now. things are expensive, so we have gone up to 5.8. We're just going to do a 24-month, 2-year term instead of a 4-year, hoping that there's a difference after 2 years. But again, we're going to keep it a fixed rate because these rates are really going up fast. So we do want to lock this in as soon as possible. We will be making a switch to, we've been with IGS, and I believe we're going to be going to Direct Energy. We had them way back when, and then they kind of got out of the area for a while, and now they're back into it again.
I feel
So
like they're who just knocked at my door
Direct
last
Energy?
week. Yeah, and wanted me to look
Okay.
at my bill and see if they were on, because they
Oh.
said some people have been knocked off and they just wanted to see. Yeah.
You know what, and they really come up with lines. Because even, there have been people going around town who even say they're with ours. Our program will never go door to door or make a call.
Good to know.
So, yeah, we put that on the website, so
Yeah.
just try to get people to look at that to know. They don't do the door to door stuff. And our program, as usual, will not have any termination fees, so if somebody during the term finds something they want to switch to, they can do that at no cost, and then as soon as they realize they should have done it, they need to be sure to check before you terminate ours and move to another one, check, because most other vendors, suppliers do have a $250 charge, so it can be expensive, but I did get their legislation today. I have it in front of you. If you are willing to put it on your agenda tonight and pass it, simply gives me the authority to go ahead and enter into the agreement with them to nail down the rate as soon as possible. So hopefully that will be acceptable.
Right, weren't they just guaranteeing the rates for
30 days.
30 days.
30 days, so.
It would be more than 30 days before the next
And
regular.
when we go on that, we have nothing to do with it. Everything is continuous, automatically changed.
It does.
Okay.
Right, and I do think sometimes people get that opt-out. It's kind of a weird concept that people don't always grasp, but they don't have to do anything. They should transfer right over to the new program.
I want to also let you know that with the water works, that we have the garbage together, for years, they have been taking the credit card automatic payment, and then the bank pays the credit card automatically. I received a message, and I confirmed with them that after January the 1st, they will not accept any credit card payment, and it has to be taken out automatically from either a checking account or a savings account. So I have not heard anything before, but I saw that. It came on a text after it came saying, thank you for your payment, but be aware that as of January the 1st, blah, 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 blah. So figure out how you're going to deliver the payment. Do you want us to send you the bill directly, or what you're going to do? But we will not accept credit cards.
Interesting. I hadn't
So
heard
if you
that.
can
That's
double check
huge.
that would be great, because everybody's
that's
up a
big.
creek and no paddle.
No,
Okay.
that's what they're going to do.
Oh, you did receive that too?
Right, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah,
okay.
and more outfits are doing that. You know, if we're with Phi Optics and they won't take credit cards, it has to come out of your account, or they don't even want to send you a hard
Bill.
copy.
Okay,
They're recouping the credit card fee.
Right.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay,
How am
I
I
would-
going to earn my Disney miles? How am I going to earn my Disney points?
I want to switch for a minute to the legislative items. I'm sorry, I totally forgot that. And we have an ordinance on the agenda tonight, which we hardly ever have ordinances, but this one came rather quickly. Whatever day I emailed it to you was the day we discovered it. So that was about a week and a day ago or something. And it's a result of House Bill 33 that made changes to our tax code for us. And
thank you.
they are requiring that they be in effect for as of January 1st. So, Jeff, do you want to say just a couple words about that? Because I know it was strange. You had concerns about home rule and stuff. And
Well, this is, Yeah, I did have, I mean, you can have concerns about home rule authority with respect to your local income tax. The state has made it clear that that's not a concern of theirs. And the court, and for what it's worth, courts have upheld that, that the state has the ability to make this. So essentially, from time to, and we've done this before, where the state, through a certain bill, will make changes to the regulations for municipal income tax. And then essentially, we are, I mean, any municipality that imposes a municipal income tax has to adopt those changes. If you don't adopt those changes, typically what they say is, if your code doesn't align with the state code, then you no longer have the authority to impose municipal income tax. So we adopt the changes that they tell us to adopt. The last time this came around, there was a lot of litigation. It had more to do with when the state was actually talking about collecting the tax, and then, you know, sort of graciously giving you back your tax money after
For a
they
fee.
after they took out their administrative fee, and that was all resolved. But they couldn't do that. But the courts did say that they do have the ability to regulate municipal income tax on a statewide level. So this, you know, House Bill 33 had some changes. I mean, it looks like a lot when you look at it, but when you actually get into the changes, there really aren't that many. One, I mean, the very first thing is some municipalities already exempted, if you know, kids under 18, and this just makes it clear that if you didn't already exempt under 18, you have to do it now. So, and then there are some other things about how you handle net profit allocation. And we could get, I mean, it would be easier for me to send you a summary of what the changes
Yeah.
are than to
And the
get in.
remote working, I guess that goes back to COVID.
Yep.
They finally have something in there,
Yeah.
definitions and stuff, so.
Yeah, so the ordinance itself, as I did when this came through last time, I put language in there really just kind of to protect us, to say, we still object. We still think that this violates our home rule authority, our authority to regulate our own local municipal income tax, but we're still going to adopt it. Just.
Mr. Forbes,
Okay.
it doesn't belong into unfinished business, though. It belongs into new business. Is that correct?
Oh, on the agenda?
On the agenda, it's not unfinished business.
No, I'm sorry.
It should be new
New
business.
business.
Yeah, it'll just be handled under new business.
Okay, and is it also all right to have a first reading today?
Yes, I mean, as the manager said, the change in state law says this has to be in place by January 1st. If you have a first reading tonight, and then adopt it at the November council meeting, that'll do it. I mean, it will be,
I will have to have already sent it up to the American Legal Publishing to get it into our code and stuff, won't I, by now? Well, I will. I'll just do
right.
it.
I mean, to answer your question, yes, you could have a first reading tonight, adopted at the November meeting. And even with the 30-day wait period, it would be in effect just in time to meet that.
Let me ask a question, though. I understand for most legislation, the first reading makes sense. In this case, we really don't have an option, right? I mean,
you
we
are
could say
obli-
we're not going to pass this, we're not interested.
What I would say is, if you want to maintain having a municipal income tax, and Deb is shaking her head yes,
It's probably a good idea.
then you are obligated to adopt these changes.
Right,
There
so
is-
being obligated, I don't see the need to drag it out. I don't know why we would do first reading.
Well, again, it's council's
One
problem.
of our council members was objecting to that. That's,
Well, I know, but I just wanted to discuss, it makes sense to object if it's something that we have no intention, or we want to give the public more time to think about it. I think this is a pretty clear-cut case, but it's up to you.
Again, yeah, it's council's prerogative. Will it work from a procedural timeline standpoint? Yes. Does it matter if you adopt it tonight or in November? As long as you adopt it so that it becomes effective before January 1st. And I hadn't really thought about the practicality of when we would
The logistics.
get the logistics to send it to the publisher to make sure it gets incorporated in the code.
As long as it doesn't back you in the corner, then.
The other option that you can, I mean, oftentimes, a lot. Remember, how many times you read it versus when it goes into effect are actually two separate things that we often kind of conflate into the same thing. The general rule is ordinances get 2 readings unless you suspend that rule.
Yep.
The emergency clause is separate. It just means whenever you adopt it, it would go into effect immediately. So the other option you could do is you could have a first reading of it tonight, just as it's presented to you. At the November meeting, adopt it with the emergency clause, and then it will go into effect immediately at the November, at whatever meeting you adopt it.
So whatever.
You have options.
Recommend, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm still not done. A couple other things we have underway right now. We have our healthcare renewals going on. We had an initial projection from our current carrier at 13.1% increase. We're hoping that will come down a little bit. We'll also soon have our property and liability insurance. Hopefully we'll be on the next agenda. I had mentioned this to the mayor, if at the November 14th work session, I would like to make it like a mini retreat. And hopefully, maybe either like we could do like 5 to 8 or 6. Start a little early so we have a little more time to talk, because there are just so many things going on and so many things we didn't plan for. And they're big things, and they're going to impact us going forward, and I really want to get this stuff in front of you so we can just focus on it, and if we have to set priorities on what we're going to do, what we're going to spend, that's going to be a good time to do it before we pass our appropriation or go into next year. So if everybody's okay with that, that's what we'll do at the November 14th work session. And is there any interest in extending the hour or starting sooner, or?
If I had enough that I can arrange for that from 5 to 8, I can make it happen.
Yeah.
How about everybody
I
else?
can't,
No?
I'd have work.
Okay, how about 6? Want to start an hour earlier? Nope. All right, we'll
You know what,
start
let
at
me
7.
find out, let me see what my vacation hours are, and if I have it, then I'll just leave early, and then I can.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that'd be fun. How about
14
everybody else? If we shot for 6?
All right.
So
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
What is the final
We're
hour?
going to shoot for 6.
Shoot
We'll
for
start at
6.
6.
6 to 9?
Well, we'll start at 6. so
We
we'll
start
have
at
a
6.
whole extra hour.
Good cooking.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I can make sure we have some food.
Yeah, I have too, but I thought, well, we're good like that. You know,
Good.
may I bring up one just little thing? I'm just gonna backtrack on the healthcare renewal.
Yes.
Because of the initial, response where, they're projecting a 13% increase, we are going out to bid. So, which we always do anyway, so that may not be the final number, but that's what Anthem is telling us it's going to be. Now, whether anybody else comes along and gives an alternative bid is to be seen, but that's in the process.
Thank you. Just a couple more things. In front of you, I gave you a code enforcement report, and what we're just trying to refine a reporting style that works for you folks, to let you know what's going on. So what you have in front of you is August and September. We pulled those out where you can, and then we broke them down by like cases that started and ended in August, cases that started other months, but were resolved by August, things like that. Anyway, just take a look at it, see if this kind of report is meaningful for you. We hope to build it up so we eventually have like the whole year there, so you'll be seeing things from other months too. The numbers will be a lot bigger. But just the format, if that's meaningful for you, please let me know going forward. Okay? Okay. And oh, yeah, one more thing, and this is kind of a neat thing. In partnership with Ohio Humanities, a state-based partner of the National Endowment for the Humanities, they have put out information that for our nation's 250th birthday, they're going to be giving out grants. So I will make a copy of what they gave me and make sure you each have one if you can be thinking about things that might be meaningful for our community. Celebrations and signature events, Ohio Original, highlighting points of pride and unity, engaging youth and lifelong learners, including statewide engagement at museums, arts and culture, and telling Ohio stories. So it's kind of cool. See what we can do for that next birthday. Okay, that's it for me right now.
I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. Under the sunshine law, even though we are not going to be officially on council until the vote in November, would that cover us, or do we have to still do it?
You would have to do it for the next term.
We have to do it
Next
for the
term.
next term,
Correct.
because then yours will not cover us.
Homer, I did it a
Well,
month ago.
mine's kind of only for this year.
Okay,
And what I'm going to try to do is do it every year, just so that we're
okay,
always covered.
okay. That's what I was trying to make sure. Second, how much the insurance that we have covered our water damage? How much we are out of money?
Actually, we should only have a deductible of $1,000.
Okay,
But however, remember that the water main repair itself was not covered. Infrastructure like that is not, but everything in the building should be.
okay.
Does that mean our insurance will go up?
I hope not. It's the first claim we've ever made, so.
You never know.
Yeah,
I
we
wanted
don't know.
to do a shout out for both Jeff and Rachel, and for you and Brenda, and everybody that works for the Harvest Fest, and Mike, and all the hours that were put in there. They did a tremendous job. I also saw that they put the moms underneath the welcome signs at the entrance and the village and all that. I also want, it's in return reversed, all the flags that they have put up for the holidays, for Memorial Day and 4th of July, that they put the flags all through the Winter Road corridor. And that's kind of, it happens, we take it for granted, but it takes job and takes an effort, it takes somebody to be able in charge to put those things. So, hooray for all of that job being done. I also, I'm going to be sounding like a broken record. Those arrows that to have a reflective property after the horrible accident that we saw there happening on Winter and the A section, it may not be redundant at all. There is a curve there, and there have been many accidents happening in there. Even McDonald's has a warning: the coffee is hot. Maybe we are too complacent when we are driving that curve. Those reflectors, if you go at night on that street, you can see it immediately when you hit a curve or anything. It's just right on your face. It may help.
Well, in this last accident, the car was going northbound, and so the reflectors wouldn't have impacted it at all because it totally came across the highway.
Well, we may have to put
We will
reflectors
get
on the
them
other
up.
side. I mean, how many accidents have we have a number of how many accidents we have had one way or the other in that particular curve?
Not very many going.
Very many, and
No,
many.
no. Hardly any going northbound.
North. Everything is south.
Crossing
Okay.
all the
Yeah.
lanes.
Yeah.
Most of it's going southbound in the areas
Okay.
where the arrows would help. So this last accident,
What's
it wouldn't have made any difference.
any difference?
It's fortunate that
we will
Is
get
there
them
a
up.
harm in putting them up? I mean-
No, it's just,
he has them, it's just time.
Okay.
getting to it,
Getting-
it's getting
Because-
to
Get them
it.
out there.
I mean, one thing I was thinking of too is that you know how
how you have, if there's a curve in some roads and they drop the speed limit down to 25, whether it's enforceable or whatever, if it looks like, I mean, there's too many accidents there. And I don't know why every precaution, I mean, it's a sign.
It doesn't do any good to put the reflectors up until they replace the 7
Oh, of
poles
course,
that
of
they
course.
took out. You know,
We'll get 'em up.
which kind of led me to believe it was going really, really fast.
Well, and the good thing is that guardrail really worked.
Yeah,
Yes.
it did.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank goodness for the
It
house
really
there.
caught that
Yeah.
car. Their bags didn't even deflate in the car. Inflate, deflate, inflate.
If I'm not
Inflate.
mistaken, a lot of it has
So
been
it really
extremely
absorbed
high
it.
speed,
Yeah.
influence by other substances. I mean, we can go so far and we should do everything we can, but a lot of it, I think, if I'm not mistaken, involves people driving extremely recklessly. So we'll do what we can, but I mean,
Okay. I don't think that anybody that's run off the road going that direction's been either not on drugs or alcohol.
So when the rails, the wires get replaced, can I just suggest as the wires are going up, maybe the reflective can be
Can go
part
at the same
of?
time?
Yeah, actually, the reflector arrows are gonna go on the other end. That did get hit. They're there right now, so we will try to get this up soon.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Law Director Jeff Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple quick items tonight that the manager had sent to me, asked me to address quickly. A couple House bills that may be of some interest. One is House Bill 56. Really has to do with police pursuits, and it does a couple of things. One is, and I should preface this by saying, House Bill 56 has just now been voted out of committee, so we still have a ways to go before to see if it even passes. But one thing it does is it increases the penalties for fleeing from a law enforcement officer in hopes to, cut down on that. But the other thing it does, and this, I'm not too concerned about this, but it does require law enforcement agencies to have a written pursuit policy in place, and also to provide training for the officers for that. I suspect that we already have that. The bill is it's got a long list of things that have to be included in that policy, so we'll see. If it passes, we'll just double check to make sure that our existing policy has all the required pieces. I suspect it does. I'm sure that came about through a lot of our CALEA work, and generally when you have that stuff, you're going to comply with whatever policy requirements there are. So, but we'll stay on top of it, and if we need to make any adjustments, we will. The other one, I said House Bill 56 was in its early stages. This one is even earlier, House Bill 241. It's been introduced, but it hasn't even gotten out of a committee yet. And when I first looked at it, I think I may have told the manager, oh, this doesn't apply to us. But it probably does have some relevance to some parts of our code. Primarily, this has to do with civil service communities. Villages are not. So from a civil service rule change, it doesn't have any impact. But it does provide in civil service communities certain circumstances where you can hire, where you can fill vacancies of police officers without doing a competitive exam. It provides for some kind of emergency. Well, when you read it, it looks like emergency, but then the last one is kind of like, or any other time you think you might need to do that. And I only say, so villages are not governed by civil service, so that state law doesn't apply to us. But if you look at our code, the village codified ordinances, we actually have provisions in there about examinations for appointments and promotions and that stuff. So, and that's served us well for as long as it's been there. We may want to see if this state law does change, it may be worth taking a look at our code to see. We don't have to do anything because again, we're not bound by what this particular law is, but it may give us reason to look at our code and see if we want to make any changes. It does not apply to promotions, just the initial appointments. At least that's what it looks like for now.
Okay.
That will conclude my report.
Clerk of Council, Teresa Lawley.
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Chief of Police, Jim Howarth.
Thank you, Mayor. During the month of September, we took 185 incidents, calls for service. We made 15 criminal arrests. Out of the 185, 24 were squad runs. We served 16 warrants, provided mutual aid to other jurisdictions, 10 in 10 of those instances. We issued 24 traffic citations. We issued 35 traffic warnings, and we investigated one auto accident that you're familiar with. We had 100 criminal, from January to the end of September, we had 105 criminal offenses through that time period. If you compare that to, I look back to compare it to last year, 2022, from January to September, we're up 7 reports. We had 98 during that same time period last year. And just percentages, out of the 125 this year, 27.9% are related to larceny or theft offenses. A couple other things, just remember October 31st, Halloween. Watch out for all the kids running around from yard to yard, in between cars, stuff like that. So, and if you have little ones running around, we like to see them in bright clothing, reflective clothing, and so forth. Also, one other thing, in the month of November, some residents, you might see some police officers sporting beards. I did implement today No Shave November form, just for the month of November. If Chief Erdelman's watching, he's probably rolling over in his recliner right now. But no, it's totally voluntary for the officers if they want to. It's still going to be professional looking if they can grow them and keep it clean. So we'll make sure it looks professional, and then if they want to opt in to do it during the month of November, they make a donation. We'll take all those donations that the officers contributed and provide it to a nonprofit. And then November 31st, December 1st, we'll be shaving them.
The shaving party.
And give it away as a donation for other people like me.
That's right. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Good.
Thank you.
At my age, though, some of the officers don't look old enough to grow a beard.
And some of them I don't think can. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay.
I do have one question, sorry. Just as far as the pursuit, we have a policy in place.
Absolutely.
And have you looked it over?
I've looked it over. It is something we have on the agenda for our department meeting November 2nd. So that's one policy that we're going to be reviewing. I will tell you, from reviewing it, it's in place right now, but I'm leaning towards more restrictive than what's in there right now. Okay. But all that, along with all the general orders, are being reviewed. But if anything changes on it, I would tell you probably on our end it's going to be more restrictive. Okay. Not that I want to advertise that, but
okay, thank you.
As far as pursuing cars for certain violations. Thank you.
All right, and my report is I had a good vacation, glad to be back. The Mayor's Court receipts, checks to the September 30th ending bank balance, $21,597.16. Checks to be issued to the state of Ohio, $602.50. Hamilton County, $22.50. And the Village of Greenhills, $2,536. And also, I don't know if anybody has been by the house construction on DeWitt, but they're moving along. They've got siding up and garage doors on, working along. And I just noticed on the multiple listings that there are now 2 additional houses under contract, or that there are 2 houses under contract, and they're negotiating 2 more.
Four more.
So, moving along, glad to see that, since as a result of the interest rates, house sales are slowing up, and there aren't many used houses, so to say, on the market, because people are staying put, especially if they have a 2.5% mortgage rate now. They don't want to move to something at 8%. All right, reports of committees, Recreation, Cable Television, Rachel Hudson.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the Harvest Fest, especially the high school students that came out. That was refreshing for me to get so much feedback from them, so I appreciate it. I'm disappointed we couldn't have the hot air balloon, but it was still good. And I don't have any update for Waycross, except for they're still needing volunteers, so you can reach out to them via email or go on their site to see what the upcoming events are. And then another note on Harvest Fest, heard some feedback that it would have been nice to have a petting zoo and face painting, which I think are two things
We've had
that.
those in the past.
We had those in the
I think
past.
that's two things that would be easy to implement, and Chief, I know there's one newer nonprofit that she's a rescue, and she does a petting zoo, and she'll travel, and I think she's out of Middletown, so, but yeah, that way the kids have something.
I also heard that they were disappointed that there were no vendors there, because a lot of people had used to planning of Christmas shopping, sometimes getting for earrings and necklaces and things like that, and they were disappointed with that. And also the activities for the kids, besides touching the truck and all of that, there was nothing in between one end to the other where the trucks were. There was nothing in the middle.
And
Well,
that was due
that's
to
where the
the,
balloon was gonna go.
Yeah, I know,
We
I
had
know.
to keep that clear.
But we, perhaps if we, when we plan that again, maybe we can have a plan B that we can incorporate there, some
Face
painting the
and-
sidewalk or something like we did several years ago. Kind of impromptu, quick things that we could do for the kids.
and my Girl Scouts were happy to participate, and I know they mentioned they were a little bit jealous that the Boy Scouts were helping with the painting of a pumpkin, so maybe face painting or something, there'll be,
Yeah.
they will be
They will
fifth
be-
graders
yeah.
next year,
Yeah.
and some of them are pretty artistic.
Yeah.
So maybe some of them are not. So they mentioned, they had fun at the event, and we're looking forward to next year, and
Thank
would
you
like.
for volunteering and being in charge of that, so.
Admittedly, because we didn't get an early start on planning for Harvest Fest, and we were kind of going for things that operated themselves. And, Touch Truck I thought was really successful, and we do want to build on that.
And the
for
music
following
was
year,
tremendous.
so- Yeah, it was just unfortunate that the wind
The wind, yeah,
really picked up, and it just got very cold, and
yeah.
Yep, my girls had a craft for kids to do. It was just so windy that we were just like, take it home,
Yeah.
because
it really got windy.
they wanted to, interact some more, but with the wind, it would have just been glittering, so. That
and
was my
regarding-
fault.
Regarding the hot air balloon, we are able to keep it for next year.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask.
Same price.
That was on my
Yeah,
question.
there you go.
And Ms. Kovac, I asked of the one food truck, and they say that they have no problem if they are connected with the village to come when we have concerts. Because they will go and then they close up and then go someplace else, so,
Let Jim Miller know that.
Yeah, he's,
okay.
yeah.
All right, Service and Streets, Jennifer Osmonaglu.
Thank you. Thank you, Jack, for your report last meeting about our committee
Good
meeting.
notes.
Oh, well, I just want to add one thing. We did talk about increasing the hours for the code enforcement officer to meet the needs of all the code enforcement violations. So that will be discussed in January, correct?
We want to start it in January.
Yeah.
We talked about putting it in the appropriations, so.
Okay, so that's at the forefront of our concerns for that. And then also, if, I just wanted to ask, and we can talk about this at the work session as well, about parking issues, if there's a meeting or
Right.
anything.
I haven't scheduled the meeting. I do actually have the design plan now for the parking lot.
Okay.
So, realistically though, with everything going on right now, it'll be after the first of the year before we can put a
Sure.
meeting together.
Okay. Okay, so meeting, you think maybe next month? Well, obviously it won't be this month, but.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe like January.
Okay.
We'll have to be indoors though.
Yeah, well,
Tough it up. Outdoors.
What's true? Could light a fire, on fire.
All right, community development, Jeff Alder.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Wanted to announce the beautification award winners. Thank you, Yvonne. East side of Winton, 133 Junedale. West side of Winton, 112 Burley. I will be getting to these people with their sign and their gift card options. Excuse me. As far as Harvest Fest, thank you for everybody that, with, everything that was done, volunteers, helping organizing it. Was disappointed about the balloon. I'm glad to hear that they're on the calendar for next year. I think that's going to be helpful. We might also want to just look at timing, since so many other surrounding communities now are also doing Harvest Fest. Maybe we move it up a little bit, I don't know, but we can have that discussion, see if that makes sense. But that pretty much concludes my report at this point.
Okay. Safety, Melanie Hermes.
We might have a meeting. I know we do have to talk about the fire contract is up at the end of the year, and I believe we're going to talk about it at the mini retreat at our work session in 3 weeks. So if there's anything from that mini work session that needs to be brought to our committee, we'll be happy to discuss it then.
Intergovernmental Affairs, Laws and Rules, Maria Walther.
We have a tentative schedule for a meeting on November the 28th,
Okay.
6 o'clock.
Finance and Audit, Jack Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, at your places tonight is the general fund recap for the month of September. You'll notice that we continue to have our winning streak as far as the income tax revenue for the month and for the year. The real estate tax that was missing in AWOL last month, or last month's report is shown there. The general fund balance at the end of September 2023 was $2,108,202.61. There were no transfers during the month, but we do have some transfers that we'll be voting on tonight for a resolution. So that's, if you have any questions, that's the end of my report.
Okay. All right, this is an opportunity for residents and non-residents to make comments solely regarding legislation. It's on the current agenda. This is time for residents to comment on legislation listed on the agenda for this session of council. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, complete the sign-in sheet, verbally indicate if you're a resident of Greenhills. Your comments will be limited to 4 minutes.
Will this include if anyone has comments on the new resolution that was mentioned?
The aggregation.
That's right.
Yes.
So we need to add on to this.
I would say if anyone has comments on that as well, that can be included.
All right. Having none, we want to change unfinished business to new business. And we'll have 2 that we want to add in new business also, this latest resolution. Okay. All right. Do we need to do something to add that to the agenda?
Yeah, on the aggregation one, yeah, I think if you'd like to add it for consideration tonight, someone needs to make a motion to add Resolution 2023 R22 to the agenda.
I move that we add the resolution number 2023 R22 SNS.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Right, and Mayor, that would, I would think that one would just go at the end, just to-
Right.
in order.
Yeah.
And then the ordinance that was mistakenly listed as unfinished business can probably just be the first thing
Okay.
that you
All
deal
right.
with.
Okay. All right. So ordinance number 2023-022. 2023-F. Amending various sections of the Village Income Tax Code to comply with provisions of the Ohio House Bill 33 and declaring an emergency. Mr. Lee?
Just as a point of clarification, the pleasure of the council is to declare an emergency.
Well, right now, I mean, the general rule is that it's a first reading, and if there's an interest to proceed with it otherwise, it would take a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption.
May I make a comment?
Sure.
I would do a sort of a compromise, doing a first reading today, but then when we bring it back, we can bring it with the emergency clause, so it would be immediately effective.
Okay, I mean, it's council's prerogative. Right now, it's on as a first reading. And if you don't do anything, you'll just read the title, and that's that.
Point of question, is that a statement?
Yeah.
Yvonne, when do you need your ordinances and our ordinances into the publisher of the code for it to be
Well, I
in?
think they're waiting, they're gonna be getting every community's in there, so I don't know how they're gonna handle that. Probably the sooner the better would be my guess.
I mean, when do you,
But I would hate to wait till December 28th to do that.
no, I mean, it would be November
November
28th.
28th, but
Is that-
effective
I think
immediately.
that's fine.
It's no, okay, that's the only thing
That should be fine.
Yeah,
I was going to say, if you needed it in by November 15th, would it be something we should do at,
at the work
The
session.
Oh,
work
no,
se-
no, I
okay.
think the November will be just fine.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's just do a first reading.
Okay, and because it's a first reading, you only have to read it by title only.
Got it. Mr. Mayor, ordinance 2023-003-F, amending various sections of the Village of Income Tax to comply with the provisions of House Bill 33 and declaring emergencies. First reading.
Nope, that's it.
that's it,
That's it.
great job.
All right, the next thing is resolution number 2023 R18-F, making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Mr. Lee.
Resolution 2023 R18-F, resolution making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Whereas the 2023 annual appropriations that were adopted on December 20th, 2022 are to be amended, and whereas the appropriations must not exceed the total available resources of the village per Ohio Revised Code 5705.36A5, therefore an amended certificate of estimated resources has been requested from the County Budget Commission. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, since certain actions are needed and monies appropriated so to permit the Village of Greenhills to meet its fiscal obligations for the year 2023, the following items of expenditures are to supplement the appropriations for expenditure for the year 2023. Fund description: General Fund 1,000.73, lands and buildings. Initial appropriation, $584,400. Changed, $125,000. The new total is $709,400. Fund description: Clerk of Court, account number 2912. Computerization fund, initial appropriation was $3,000. The change is an additional $2,000 for a total of $5,000. Section 2, that the following transfers of fund be made from previously appropriated monies, none. Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest date allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Just as a point of clarification, the big number there is in the general fund. The majority of that is specifically for the water damage. There is some additional monies for trees that come into play under that account, but most of that is for the water damage at the service building.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other additional comments? Clerk, poll the council.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Ms. Aspenoglu?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Okay, Resolution 2023-R18-F passes. Next, resolution number 2023-R19-S&S, resolution authorizing assessments on certain properties in the village of Greenhills. Mrs. Montague.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 2023-R19-S&S, resolution authorizing assessments on certain properties in the village of Greenhills. Whereas the village has given proper notice to the owners of certain real property in the village of Greenhills regarding the removal of vegetation, refuse, garbage, and/or debris from the properties listed below. And whereas the owners of said properties did not take action to remedy the violations, and therefore the village of Greenhills contracted to remove vegetation, refuse, garbage, and/or debris, and now seeks to collect said expenses by authorizing the placement of a lien upon the lands and collected as other taxes. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, that the village council hereby certifies that the cost of such labor, together with the expenses relative thereto, be filed on the return and statement to the Hamilton County Commissioners as an assessment against the properties listed and placed as a lien against the properties by the Auditor of Hamilton County, Ohio, as follows. Parcel number 597-0070-007200, address 17 Andover Road. Owner Eric Sellers, cost $12,873.22. Parcel number 597-0060-002300, address 50 Damon Road. Owner IHR Borrower I LLC, cost $198.31. The total is $13,071.52. Section 2, all amounts collected as a result of this resolution shall be placed into the general fund of the Village of Greenhills. Section 3, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions?
I think that
Okay.
might be a new record there.
I think so, yeah, it wasn't a typo. If you remember, I think it was after a storm that we had over a weekend, and a very large tree at 17 Andover went over into this person's neighbor's yard, across our path that goes between Ashby and Avenel, thank you, and into Ashby Park. So it was quite large. It was, the vendor said it's the worst, the most dangerous tree they ever took down. And what made it so tricky is it was right alongside a garage, and then the neighbors, I think he had a fence, and then his house. And so they literally had to take it down like 5 feet at a time, because the piece still standing was just there. You could see through it, and it was quite an operation. So obviously it wasn't something that the owner of the property could handle. So we did. It was if the rest of it went down, even more stuff would have been hit. Heaven knows which way it would have fallen. So.
But the owner was
There you
given the
go.
opportunity.
Yes,
to-
oh yes, absolutely.
Okay. Clerk, poll the council.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Ms. Walter?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Ms. Aspenoglu?
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2023-R19-S&S passes. Next, resolution number 2023-R20-S, adopting Hamilton County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan. Ms. Hermes.
Thank you. Resolution 2023-R20S, resolution adopting the Hamilton County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan. Whereas the Village of Greenhills, Ohio is vulnerable to an array of natural, technological, and human-caused hazards that have the potential to cause loss of life and damages to public and private property. And whereas the Hamilton County Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency and the Hazard Mitigation Steering Committee, comprised of representatives from the county, municipalities, and stakeholder organizations, have prepared a recommended multi-hazard mitigation plan that reviews the options to protect people and property and reduce damage from these hazards. And whereas the village has participated in the planning process for development of this plan, providing information specific to local and county-wide hazard priorities, encouraging public participation, identifying desired hazard mitigation strategies, and reviewing the draft plan. And whereas the Hamilton County Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency with the Hazard Mitigation Steering Committee has developed the Hamilton County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan, the plan, as an official document of the county pursuant to the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000, PL-106-390, and associated regulations 44 CFR 210.6. And whereas the plan has been widely circulated for review by the county's residents, municipal officials, and regional, state, and federal partner agencies, and has been revised to reflect their concerns. Whereas the Ohio Emergency Management Agency and the Federal Emergency Management Agency have reviewed the plan for legislative compliance and approved the plan pending the completion of local adoption procedures. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, the Hamilton County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan is hereby adopted as an official plan of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio. Section 2, the municipal manager is charged with supervising the implementation of the plan's recommendations as they pertain to the Village of Greenhills and then within the funding limitations as provided by council or other sources. I move to adopt this resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt this resolution. Any comments or questions? Okay, clerk, poll the council.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Ms. Osmanoglu?
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2023-R20-S passes. Next resolution number 2023-R21-F, authorizing Hamilton County Auditor to make advances to the Village of Greenhills. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2023-R21-F, resolution requesting the county auditor to make tax advances during the year 2024 pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 321.34. Whereas the Ohio Revised Code allows a taxing authority to request advance payment from the county auditor funds derived from taxes and other sources to the county treasurer, which may be held on account of a location subdivision. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1. The auditor and the treasurer of Hamilton County, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 321.34, be required to draw and pay to the Village of Greenhills upon written request of the Finance Director, Deborah Heimer, to the county auditor, funds due in any settlement of 2024 derived from taxes and other sources payable to the county treasurer to the account of the Village of Greenhills and lawfully applicable for the purposes of the current fiscal year. Section 2, the Clerk of Council of the Village of Greenhills be and hereby is directed to transmit a certified copy of this resolution to the Auditor of Hamilton County, Ohio. And Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest date allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions?
This is kind of a housekeeping thing that we have to do every year, so good thing that we do.
Anything to motivate getting our money.
Yes.
Okay, clerk poll the council.
Ms. Walter?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Ms. Osmanoglu?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2023-R21-F passes. Next resolution, number 2023-R22-SNS, resolution authorizing all actions necessary to support the continuation of a governmental natural gas aggregation program with opt-out provisions pursuant to Section 4929.26 Ohio Revised Code, directing the municipal manager to extend the supply agreement with Direct Energy Services LLC to continue a natural gas aggregation program beyond March 31, 2024, when the current supply agreement ends. Ms. Herman?
No.
Or wait, Ms. Osmond?
Thank you. Resolution number 2023-R22-SNS, resolution authorizing all actions necessary to support the continuation of a governmental natural gas aggregation program with opt-out provisions pursuant to Section 4929.26 Ohio Revised Code, directing the municipal manager to extend the supply agreement with Direct Energy Services LLC to continue a natural gas aggregation program beyond March 31st, 2024, when the current supply agreement ends. Whereas the Ohio legislature has enacted natural gas deregulation legislation, HB number 9, which authorizes the legislative authorities of villages to aggregate the retail natural gas loads located in the respective jurisdictions and to enter into service agreements to facilitate for those loads the purchase and sale of natural gas. And whereas governmental aggregation provides an opportunity for residential and small business customers collectively to participate in the potential benefits of natural gas deregulation through lower natural gas rates, which they would not otherwise be able to have individually. And whereas this council finds and determines that it is in the best interest of the village, its residents, businesses, and other natural gas consumers located within the limits of the village to continue its natural gas opt-out aggregation program, subject to the conditions of a natural gas supply agreement amendment that will take effect on or about April 1st, 2024. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Hamilton County, State of Ohio, that Section 1, the municipal manager is hereby authorized to execute a Master Services Agreement, or MSA, with Direct Energy Services, LLC, to facilitate the sale and purchase of natural gas to consumers in the village's opt-out program. Section 2, that it is found and determined that all formal actions of this council concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 3, that this resolution is hereby declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the preservation of the public peace, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the Village of Greenhills, and provided it receives a 2/3 vote of all members of council elected thereto, shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval, otherwise to be in full force and effect from and after the earliest period allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Okay, and moved and seconded. Any comments or questions on the resolution?
Just on the title of the resolution, I don't know if I have to ask to amend it, but I believe it should say, instead of directing the municipal manager to extend the supply agreement with Direct Energy, I believe it should be based on Section 1 to execute a master service agreement with Direct Energy. I don't know if it's a Scrivener's thing or if it's something where I have to amend the title. My guess is we use the same resolution template as we did when we
True.
extended the IGS agreement, but now that we're switching.
Maybe make it
uh,
enter into a supply agreement.
Yeah, I would use the language from section 1 to execute a master services agreement in place of to extend the supply agreement. Do I
You would make that by motion.
I make a motion to change
Yep.
the resolution to that effect.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded.
And that can just be a
Do that
voice.
change. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That passes.
I'm not sure that last paragraph needed to be there, because this isn't an ordinance.
Oh,
about-
the emergency language?
Yeah.
I'm
That
not
could
worried.
be-
It can stay there. It doesn't matter.
Okay,
Our resolutions take effect immediately anyway by charter.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's fine.
okay,
But now, that was the vote to amend it.
right.
You will still need to take the vote
Take
to
the vote.
adopt it as amended.
Okay. So clerk poll the council?
Ms. Hudson,
Aye.
Ms. Hermes,
Aye.
Mr. Walter,
Aye.
Ms. Osmanoglu,
Aye.
Ms. Walther,
Aye.
Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2023-R22-S&S passes. All right, that's it on the resolutions. Do any of our council members have any comments that they want to make before we do the calendar and residents' opportunities?
Just one thing, prior to the meeting, if you didn't meet the gentleman, Kurt Radel is now the governmental program coordinator for Waycross Community Media. He's taking on Dana's previous duties. And he's a very, very fine gentleman with a long history in broadcast media, so welcome him too.
And ties to Greenhills.
Yes. Class of 71. Yeah.
Okay, and Halloween is this
Tuesday.
A week from today.
A week from today, yeah.
All right, any other municipal calendar items?
November 28, laws and rules, unless it gets postponed or
Okay.
replaced by another
Same way
date.
with safety.
Safety will play it by ear. We'll see what comes out of the work session.
Yeah.
But if we need one, we will have it on the 28th as well.
All right, this is an opportunity for residents, non-residents to appear before council. Non-residents must have prior permission, and since we have no non-residents here, this is the time for citizens to comment on matters before council. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, complete the sign-in sheet, verbally indicate if you are a resident of Greenhills or a non-resident, and state your comments. If you have questions, the questions will be recorded and referred to the manager's office for response. This will allow time for thorough and thoughtful consideration to be given to each question. Council meetings are recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 4 minutes. Speakers may or may not yield any of their time to other speakers.
Monique Mason-Halter, Greenhills resident. Good evening. At the July meeting, I gave you all copies of 3 articles about the U.S. Conference of Mayors, National League of Cities, and National League of Counties opposition to H.R. 3557, the American Broadband Deployment Act. H.R. 3557 preempts municipal authority on the placement of wireless antennas. If passed, it could affect the village's income, historical status, property values, safety, and security. At the August meeting, I asked if you had read these articles and contacted our federal representative, Warren Davidson, and the Hamilton County Commissioners about it. It was unclear if any of you had. I asked again at last month's meeting, and it was still unclear if anyone had. Last month, I also provided you with more information about H.R. 3557 as well as other federal bills that, if passed, could affect the village's income, historical status, property values, safety, and security. H.R. 4141, 4540, 1123, 3280, and 4006. I read excerpts from the handouts so that you would understand that it was in the best interest of the village to contact Warren Davidson and the county commissioners about these bills. The village has worked very hard over the years to protect its historical status. Among other things, these bills threaten it. They are being promoted under the banners of streamlining, removing barriers to entry, and closing the digital divide when they actually ignore constitutional protections, conflict with existing federal law, remove states' rights, and would perpetuate the digital divide. Last month, I also asked again that you strengthen the Greenhills Small Cell Facilities Ordinance, as other Ohio municipalities have passed more protective ordinances. Ours does not fully protect us from the irresponsible placement of wireless facilities, both 4G and 5G, and the installation of unneeded infrastructure. Jack Lee interrupted me, and there was some disagreement about the ordinance passed by council. Fellow Greenhills resident Vince Wellage has also provided much information to Yvonne and council members about how our ordinance could be strengthened. He sent files to Yvonne with excerpts from other Ohio ordinances, especially deer parks. He put asterisks with relevant sections on the Deer Park Chapter 1155 title page for Yvonne to review and distribute. Vince and/or I will forward these files again for your consideration. Most of the local ordinances use the same template for aesthetics and definitions, but the Greenhills ordinance update request that Vince sent to Yvonne showed that there was a lack of certain details in the telecom permit application procedures. Vince and/or I will forward these details again to you. I will read as many of them as I can until Dave cuts me off. 1, a qualified RF engineer to conduct an annual random test to the small cell wireless installations to certify compliance with all FCC radio frequency emission limits as they pertain to general population exposure limits. The reasonable costs of such tests reside with the telecom carrier. 2, FCC safety limits apply to the aggregate emissions of all co-located equipment, not just emissions of a single antenna. Co-location is very common because it allows the telecom to use existing utility poles in the public right-of-way. 3, applicants certify that the company is subject to all local, state, and federal laws, including the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that the operation of the antennas will not jeopardize the health and well-being of any citizens. The design must not be in conflict with the health, safety, and welfare of the community. 4, documentation that demonstrates the need for the small cell wireless facility to provide service primarily and essentially with the city. This item is tricky because it uses the gap in service argument, which is hard for parties to reach agreement about because of some legal interpretations on how this requirement works under current Ohio law. Liability insurance on EMF exposure is very hard to get passed and added to most ordinances because of Ohio law as well. May I finish? I
Time's
just
up.
have 2 sentences.
Time's up.
You're denying me the right to
4 minutes
speak.
is up. 4 minutes is up.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Okay. Okay, nothing else? Meeting adjourned.